Good morning, all. We're here at a friend's house today, another Puget Sound Garden Railway Society member, Nick Davis. He's got a little problem with some batteries, and we're going to help him out a little bit today. So I'll introduce you to Nick, and we'll get going on this project. Nick's workshop. We have 3 engines, a little Heisler, a little 240, and then a little 280. And we're going to be working on those as well as maybe some others. And here's our host today, Nick Davis.
Hi.
And we'll be working with Nick, getting some battery additions and some changes for him. Well, here we are in Nick's workshop. I picked up one of the battery clips that I made up for him and inserted it into one of Nick's Makita batteries. Then we'll hook up the gondola to the little 240 and we'll give it a test run. All 3 of the engines that you see here had battery packs installed in their tenders, and all 3 of the battery packs have died. So Nick has decided to go with the Makita batteries as a good alternative. Nick plans to make false cargo loads to hide the batteries. Oh, that's a nice, smooth running little engine. At this point, Nick and I both realized that the magnets for the chuff had fallen off. So I ended up taking the tender and engine home and replacing them, as we didn't have any of the proper rubber cement that we needed to reinstall the magnets. So now with the 240 out of the way, we move on to the Heisler. And of course leave it to a retired ship's captain to not be able to find the on switch. Nick comes to the rescue and we get this machine rolling. You can probably find it easier. There, you got it.
It was just up on the sheet.
Oh, okay, I see it now. I think I was trying to feel too far inside for that. What I understand, if I'm right, this comes up, yep. And if you're not familiar with the Bachmann Heisler, it's actually been out of production now for about 12 years. In an effort to find out how you break into this engine, I tried contacting Bachmann. They said they did not even keep any of the old plans. So we found online a couple of helpful hints how to get into the tender. It's actually a very simple process. Lift the cover off the water tank fill, remove one single screw, and then lift the coal load straight out. The battery and the electronics were tightly packed into the unit. We examined it to make sure that the battery had not leaked, and then we put this back together, and removing the battery will be a winter project. Plus the battery adds a little weight, which makes this engine a real good strong puller. And we button this one up to get on to the next unit. So from here we move the trains outside to get ready for the next project, and what do you know? And the sound of trains brought a friend up who I never realized, but I probably worked right alongside of him. Gary and his father George worked on the waterfront, along with another good friend of mine, Steve Noe. So Gary Matson heard the trains running, came on up, and Gary and I both worked on the waterfront together, which...
Didn't mean to take away from your fixing time.
No, we're working on trains. We're having fun.
I think he had to make a spur down to his garbage can, and then he could load the train up with brush and just run it down the garbage can and unload it.
A lot of people have done things like that.
Little tiny branches.
Yeah. This is Nick's 4th RC unit. This is a air wire. It's a T9000, which is very old, and they do not make them anymore. When we turned on the controller, nothing happened, so we opened up the case to see what the problem might be.
I wonder if it has, this has to...
I bet that's what holds the front portion. Oh, yeah, that was it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got some problems here.
Yeah. Well, we've had a little bit of bad news on Nick's air wire controller. This is the T9000. And unless I can repair this myself, these are no longer made. They will not repair them. We'll try the best we can. Well, I was able to clean up and replace the battery connector. However, when I turned the unit over, some of the buttons were just completely solid. To effect any kind of repair, I'd have to completely replace at least 4 of these buttons. The trouble is trying to find replacements. So I put a request out to the different people I know on multimedia to see if anybody might have one that they'd sell me cheap or give me. We'll see what happens. So here's how I made the Makita power cables for Nick. First, you'll need the Makita clip. Please note that these have a positive and negative written right above the terminals. Next, from Radio Shack, I used a coaxial DC power plug, and this is a size N, as in November. I then cut at least 12 inches of number 22 or 24 red and black wire. You're also going to want a red and a black or blue, in this case, crimp-on quick disconnect plugs. And then lastly, you're going to want a 3 amp resettable fuse. Please always remember your polarity. Keep it correct. Well, good morning all. It's the next day. I've done a couple of repairs for Nick on an engine, and I looked at his air wire controller. Unfortunately, the air wire controller had a lot of battery acid damage, so I'm going to be taking him the air wire controller back and explaining that to him. Some of the buttons don't even work anymore because battery acid from the leaked batteries got into the switches themselves, and trying to find replacement switches is next to impossible. I do have Nick's little engine here. Actually, it's not Nick's engine. This is Anita, his wife's engine. So I'm taking that back. It runs perfectly. It's just the magnets that come off of the chuff device. So I put those back in place, and we'll see if Nick can run trains today. Yeah, it does. It sounds pretty good. So this is Anita's engine.
Yeah. Now she's pretty protective of this thing.
Oh, that's good. You should be. Well, hello everyone. We're back here at the Skagit Fair, and I'm going to pull a little night duty tonight. We're going to be running trains. I hear some running over there along with the music. Yeah, so let's go on in and we'll see if we can't get some shots of some trains running tonight. This is David's train, and I was actually going to go buy him a can of oil for the last few cars until I found out they're actually Ray Mitchell's cars. I guess I'll give the can of oil to Ray. After a few hours of running, it all seems like a blur. Yes, I understand that I need a gimbal for my camera. Try to keep some of these walking moves steady. Everything comes in time. Ah yes, here comes Ray Mitchell's beautiful consist of Harley-Davidson and Indian motorcycle cars. Here comes Club President Barry's train of all military service cars.
And as was with most railroads, the railroad work always goes on. Hi, Jerry. Doing some fine road bed.
Building a road crossing.
Yeah. Just have to watch out for the trains. Well, good Sunday morning, everyone. We're back here at the Skagit Fairgrounds, and we're going to be disassembling the train modules today. It looks like I might even be a little late, even though I'm an hour early. So we'll see what happens and talk soon.
Well, as we disassemble the railroad, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what I learned from helping Nick. First thing is, if you have batteries installed in your engine or tender, please check them at least once a year. Make sure they're not leaking. And if you keep batteries in your transmitters, check them at least once every year, or just replace them every year. Don't let them set. If you're gonna let your transmitters set over a winter, take the batteries out. Well, here we are, and we're all cleaned up. The building is empty again, and the 2018 Skagit Fair is complete. Please be safe, my friends, and we will see you down the rails.